Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood. Today it's New Year's Eve, and I thought what better subject than the classic New Year's Eve song, Auld Lang Syne. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. The famous poet Robert Burns is credited with writing the song Auld Lang Syne. But would you believe he didn't really write it at all? The story goes that he just transcribed a folk song he heard an old man singing while traveling through the Scottish countryside. What do you think? Is it true that Robert Burns didn't really write the hit song himself? Did he get a little help from his friends? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is Hogmanay. That's Hogmanay. Hogmanay is the word Scots use for the last day of the old year. It's synonymous with the Scottish celebration of New Year's. While the rest of the world calls it New Year's Eve, in Scotland, Hogmanay is a massive, distinct festival that involves gift-giving and visiting the homes of friends and neighbors immediately after midnight, a tradition known as first footing, being the first one to set foot in the home in the new year. The etymology of Hogmanay is actually a bit of a linguistic mystery. Some say it comes from the French word Hogmanay, meaning a gala day, perhaps influenced by the historic Old Alliance between Scotland and France. Others trace it to the Norse hill verbs or Anglo-Saxon terms for holy month. Regardless of the origin, the word represents the cultural emphasis on welcoming the new year with warmth, community, and one of the best parties on the planet. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Auld Lang Syne. Number 1. The title literally translates to Old Long Since, but it really means something closer to days gone by. When we sing Auld Lang Syne, we're singing in Scots, a language related to English but distinct in vocabulary and pronunciation. A direct word-for-word translation would give you Old Long Since, which sounds a bit clunky to modern ears, but the idiomatic translations capture the sentiment much better as long, long ago or for the sake of old times. It's essentially a nostalgic call to remember friends and experiences from the past as we move into the future. The phrase itself was actually around long before the song became famous, serving as a common Scottish expression for the good old days. In the context of the song, the rhetorical question in the opening line, should old acquaintances be forgotten, is asking if we should let old friendships fade away. The song's answer is a resounding no, encouraging us to raise a glass to preserve those precious memories of days gone by, even as we separate or time marches on. Number 2. The melody we sing today is not the original tune Robert Burns intended. Most people assume the slow, sentimental melody we hum at midnight is the one Burns had in mind when he put the lyrics on paper, but that isn't the case. Burns originally set the words to a completely different, faster, and more staccato Scottish folk dance tune that sounds nothing like the anthem we know today. If we tried to sing the lyrics to the original intended melody today, it would feel incredibly upbeat and perhaps a bit jarring compared to the usual tearful farewell. The famous melody we use today was attached to the lyrics later by George Thomson, a publisher who collected Scottish songs. He paired Burns's words with a different folk tune, and that combination is what stuck in the public consciousness. The new melody was simpler and more anthem-like, making it much easier for large crowds to sing together, which is likely why it became the global standard for closing out events and celebrations. Number 3. In Japan, the song is used to signal closing time in stores, not just New Year's Eve. While Westerners associate the tune almost exclusively with New Year's Eve and funerals, the melody of Auld Lang Syne has a very different daily function in Japan. It's known there as Hotaru no Hikari, which translate to the light of the fireflies. The lyrics are different, telling the story about hardship of studying by the light of fireflies at snow, but the music is identical. Because the song is associated with graduation and parting ways, businesses adopted it as a polite auditory cue to let customers know the shop is closing. If you walk into a grocery store, department store, or restaurant in Tokyo near the end of the day, you'll likely hear this melody playing over the loudspeakers. It's a gentle, culturally understood nudge that tells patrons it's time to wrap up their shopping and head home. This unique usage makes the melody one of the most frequently played pieces of music in the entire country, heard daily rather than just once a year. Number 4. It's a Scots song, but it conquered the world thanks to a Canadian bandleader named Guy Lombardo. Auld Lang Syne was already a well-known folk song, but it cemented its status as the definitive New Year's Eve anthem in North America, largely due to Guy Lombardo and his band, the Royal Canadians. Starting in 1929, Lombardo performed the song during his live New Year's Eve broadcast from the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. The broadcast was heard by millions of people across the country via radio and later television, becoming an annual tradition for decades. Lombardo actually heard the song from Scottish immigrants in his hometown of London, Ontario, and felt it was the perfect bridge between the old year and the new. His version was slower and more sentimental than previous folk versions, striking the perfect emotional chord for the post-midnight reflection. Because his show was the primary countdown for the United States for so long, his specific arrangement became the official sound of New Year's Eve that we still imitate today. And our fifth and final fun fact for today, British and German soldiers actually sang Auld Lang Syne together during the famous Christmas Truce of World War I. In 1914, during the first winter of the First World War, something incredible happened along the battle lines in Europe. It was Christmas Eve, and instead of fighting, soldiers from opposing sides, the British and the German, spontaneously stopped firing their weapons. They emerged from their trenches to cross no man's land where they exchanged small gifts, shared food, and even played soccer together in the snow. It was a brief, unexpected moment of peace and humanity in the middle of a massive and brutal conflict. Auld Lang Syne was one of the songs that helped cement that momentary bond. According to letters from soldiers who were there, after singing traditional carols like Silent Night, the troops joined in singing the Scottish anthem. Because the melody was known across Europe, it was one of the few songs both sides could appreciate together. For a few brief moments, the lyrics asking, "Should old acquaintance be forgotten?" took on a profound meaning between enemies who were briefly acting as friends. Now for some news you can use. The transition to a new year can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming, so try using the 3 minutes of Auld Lang Syne as a gratitude anchor. Instead of stressing about your relationships for the future, challenge yourself to think of just one specific person or memory from the past year that made you smile, and hold that thought while you sing. Psychology suggests that ending an experience like a year with a specific positive thought helps your brain categorize the whole time period more positively, setting you up for a happier start in January. And once the singing ends, if you're visiting friends, you can borrow the Scottish tradition of first footing to be the ultimate guest. Legend has it the first person to enter the home after midnight decides the luck of the household, and you should never enter empty-handed. Pack a small good luck kit with a coin for prosperity, some shortbread so they never go hungry, and perhaps a small symbolic piece of coal or candle to keep them warm. Handing these to your host is a unique, heartwarming way to show you care about their future happiness. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, could it be true the poet Robert Burns, credited with writing Auld Lang Syne, didn't really write it so much as he transcribed it, preserving an old folk tune that had been sung for generations before? Well, that's a fact. While Burns gets the credit, he was actually the savior of the song, not the inventor. In a letter to his friend, Mrs. Dunlop, in 1788, he wrote, quote, "There's an old song and tune which has often thrilled through my soul," end quote. And he famously claimed he took it down from an old man singing. But the roots go back much further, both orally and in written form. A ballad titled Auld Lang Syne was printed by James Watson in 1711, nearly 80 years before Burns put pen to paper. And poets like Allan Ramsay and Sir Robert Ayton wrote even earlier versions with similar themes of remembering the past. Burns's genius was in taking these scattered fragments, refining the lyrics, and adding the touching verses about childhood friends drifting apart. He did a lot to polish it up, but then the song kept evolving even from his arrangement as other people put their own spin on it, changing the melody into what we sing today. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Auld Lang Syne with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.